The Golden State Warriors are living through a quiet but decisive transition. The franchise, which has remained one of the NBA's powerhouses for years, is now facing an inevitable dilemma: win now or plan for tomorrow. The roster, made up mostly of experienced and championship-winning players, still delivers talent and results, but time is unforgiving. Inside the locker room, the awareness is clear. Each season could be the last of the golden era led by its main figures. However, management knows that to stay relevant, it must look beyond past glories and prepare the ground for the future. The win-now philosophy dominates the atmosphere. The immediate goal is to compete for titles while they can still rely on the brilliance of their veteran stars. But the signs of wear are visible. The game's pace, the long seasons, and the natural passage of time pose a challenge. Maintain a high competitive level without compromising the rebuilding process that will inevitably come. Within this context, Golden State finds itself at a strategic crossroads, carefully assessing which moves can ensure a smooth transition between generations, without losing the winning identity that defined the last decade. Amid this discussion, an unusual idea has started to gain traction among fans and analysts: the possibility of bringing one of the league's most electrifying and controversial talents, Morant, currently with the Grizzlies, to the team. The buzz began as a fan's joke, but quickly evolved into a hypothesis worth examining. The logic is simple. Morant is young, explosive, and when healthy, can change the course of any game. For a franchise seeking to renew its offensive energy, he would represent both an immediate solution and a long-term investment. Morant's recent statements and behavior in Memphis have raised concerns about his dissatisfaction. After an underwhelming performance against the Lakers, the guard responded coldly to questions from the press, avoiding depth and leaving an air of tension with the coaching staff. Since then, his interviews have revealed a frustrated, restless player who may need a change of scenery to rediscover motivation and joy for the game. Even in good performances, like the one where he scored 18 points and dished out 10 assists against the Pistons, his body language showed something was off balance. This mix of undeniable talent and emotional turbulence attracts a team like Golden State, used to managing strong personalities and getting the best out of players who need a stable environment. The idea of seeing Morant guided by experienced leadership and within an offensive system that values creativity is alluring. He could learn from the veterans while injecting vigor and energy into a team that often seems too dependent on the same core figures. For the Warriors executives, the equation is complex. Investing in a player like Morant means taking risks, both sporting and reputational, but it also offers the chance to secure a new era without starting from scratch. His marketing potential, charisma, and spectacular style of play make him commercially powerful. On the court, his ability to break defenses, push fast transitions, and create isolation opportunities would perfectly complement the team's dynamic style. Meanwhile, the rumors are growing. Some say management is closely monitoring the situation in Memphis, waiting for the right time to act. With the season underway and the veteran core still competitive, the priority remains to contend for the championship. But behind the scenes, attention is already turning to upcoming trade windows, where strategic decisions could define the franchise's path for the next decade. The Warriors know their dominance depends on the ability to reinvent themselves, and nothing symbolizes reinvention more than the search for a new leader to take the baton when the current cycle ends. Morant, despite the controversies, embodies the essence of modern basketball: speed, improvisation, and aggression. In a hypothetical scenario, his arrival would bring a new dimension to the offense, revitalizing the spectacle fans have come to expect in San Francisco. However, financial challenges and the league's complex salary cap rules make any deal of this magnitude delicate. The payroll space is limited, and any move would require sacrificing promising youngsters or valuable draft picks. It's precisely this balance between present and future that the front office must master. The goal is not only to keep the team competitive, but to ensure that the winning identity isn't lost in transition. Golden State's recent history shows an organization unafraid of bold decisions. They've proven capable of adapting their style over the years, changing pieces and strategies as needed. However, the aging roster now brings a different kind of urgency. The time for experimentation is ending, and every market move must be calculated with pinpoint precision. At the same time, long-term success requires planning. The franchise can't afford to wait for its stars' complete decline before beginning a rebuild. That's where names like Morant enter the conversation. Players who can be both the present and the future, carrying the torch of a dynasty that has already left a deep mark on NBA history. The pursuit is for continuity, not replacement. As the debate intensifies, the Warriors continue their competitive journey with a divided focus. On one side, the hunger for another title. On the other, the need to plant the seeds that will secure relevance in the years to come. The trades, speculations, and rumors are merely reflections of a greater moment in which the team must balance emotion and reason. And amid that balance arises the inevitable question: how much is it worth risking the present for the sake of tomorrow? Time will tell whether this blend of ambition and prudence will result in a new golden era. For now, what can be seen is a team that, despite its veteran status, still believes. And for Golden State, belief has always been the first step toward making the impossible happen. The Golden State Warriors board understands that the current cycle is precious but finite. With each season, the weight of experience blends with physical wear, and the need for renewal becomes more evident. Behind the scenes, the franchise is more active than ever, and while the main roster fights on the court to prove it still has fuel to compete for titles, the operations department quietly analyzes the possibilities of a gradual rebuild. It is not about breaking with the past, but rather preparing the way so that success does not depend solely on a legendary trio. In the San Francisco offices, planning is treated with cold precision and strategy. Recent meetings between executives and scouts have shared one focus: finding players capable of carrying the Warriors' legacy once the veterans retire. Within this context, new ideas are gaining momentum, and Bam Adebayo's name has emerged as one of the most interesting targets for this transition. The Miami Heat center, known for his defensive intensity and versatility, could be the key piece for a dominant future. The reasoning behind this move is simple. Adebayo is the kind of player who not only fills a tactical gap, but redefines how a team defends and attacks. For years, Golden State has lived with the same problem: the lack of a dominant center capable of protecting the paint while also contributing to offensive construction. Although they have won championships without such a player, the league has evolved. Today's championship teams usually combine interior strength with perimeter efficiency, something Adebayo could provide in near-perfect balance. The player's statistics confirm his impact. With consistent averages in points, rebounds, and assists, he has established himself as one of the most complete big men in the NBA. Furthermore, his recent improvement in mid- and long-range shooting has increased his value. Playing in a system that favors ball movement and quick cuts, such as the Warriors, Adebayo could reach a new level of performance. His previous chemistry with Jimmy Butler in Miami shows he can share the spotlight without losing his identity, making him ideal for a roster that values collective play. But like any major move, there are obstacles. Adebayo's market value is high, and the Miami Heat, even in a potential rebuilding phase, would not let him go without significant compensation. This is where Jonathan Kuminga's name arises as a possible trade piece. The young forward is highly regarded by the Florida franchise, which sees star potential in him. For Golden State, this represents a tough decision. Kuminga is one of the few young assets with genuine developmental upside within the current roster, but the board understands that in certain situations, promises must be sacrificed to consolidate a solid project. The plan would be to offer Kuminga and a few draft picks, creating space for Adebayo to assume the role of the team's future defensive pillar. The trade, if completed, would benefit both sides. The Heat would gain youth and flexibility for a rebuild, while the Warriors would receive a player ready to contribute both now and in the coming seasons. The balance between present and future would once again become the focus. Inside the locker room, the idea is met with curiosity. Some veterans recognize that bringing in a player of Adebayo's caliber could revitalize the team both tactically and emotionally. Others, however, fear losing young pieces who represent the new generation. Still, there is consensus that the franchise must act. Remaining static would be a fatal mistake, especially in a league where the balance of power between conferences shifts every year. Golden State has already proved in the past that it can reinvent itself without losing competitiveness. During its dynastic era, the team alternated styles and lineups, adapting to circumstances and opponents. That adaptability is what keeps the team relevant, even when age threatens to limit physical ability. With Curry still performing at a high level and Draymond maintaining the competitive spirit that defines the Warriors' culture, there is room to build something new without abandoning what brought them here. In this process, Adebayo's possible arrival would bring more than numbers. He represents the energy of a new phase, a player with exemplary work ethic and the ability to lead by example. In a franchise known for tactical discipline and the pursuit of excellence, he would fit naturally into that philosophy. Moreover, his presence would allow veteran stars to play with more freedom, reducing their physical and defensive burden over long stretches of the season. This vision is shared by many analysts who believe that a core of Curry, Butler, Green, and Adebayo would have enough balance to challenge any powerhouse in the league. The point guard remains the offensive brain, the forward maintains the emotional catalyst role, and the center would bring the physical element the roster has long lacked. With that quartet, Golden State could extend its dominance for a few more years, staying at the top while preparing a natural succession of leadership within the group. The central point is that the board does not want to wait for the natural collapse of a cycle to start another. The strategy is to overlap generations, like a planned relay, where the baton is passed without the team sinking into full rebuilding seasons. The goal is that, when Curry and Green decide to stop, a solid base already exists with players like Adebayo and future additions. This continuity would ensure that the legacy is not just remembered but perpetuated. At the same time, the franchise continues to monitor the market and maintain contact with other potential opportunities. Morant's name still circulates, and although the idea seems distant at the moment, Golden State is known for acting in the shadows until everything is ready. If the opportunity arises to combine young talent with experienced leadership, the team will not hesitate. After all, the Warriors' DNA is exactly that, daring when everyone else believes it's impossible. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere is one of focus and anticipation. Every move can shift the league's balance of power, and the upcoming trade windows promise to be decisive. With an experienced roster and an ambitious front office, Golden State positions itself to remain relevant, not only through nostalgia for past titles, but through the clear vision that the future must be seized now, before time demands its price. If Adebayo truly dons the blue and gold jersey, he will symbolize the start of a new era. An era where youth and veteran wisdom coexist, and where the competitive spirit that defined the dynasty is renewed in new forms. And if, by any chance, Ja Morant's name returns to the table, that combination could once again transform the Warriors into an almost unstoppable force. The construction of the Golden State Warriors' future goes beyond simply trading players. It is a matter of legacy, identity, and keeping alive a culture that redefined modern basketball. For years, the San Francisco team was a benchmark in innovation, both on and off the court. The way it combined long-range shooting, constant movement, and coordinated defense changed the league's standards. Today, other teams try to reproduce the model, but none have managed to replicate the balance between talent, discipline, and collective mentality that Golden State established. That is why the current challenge is not only to keep winning, but to preserve what made them unique. This philosophy demands a careful kind of transition. The management understands that replacing idols is not just about swapping names, it is about transmitting values, competitive passion, teamwork, and the mindset of overcoming obstacles are part of the Warriors' essence. Players like Curry and Green represent not only skill, but also a spirit that inspired an entire generation. As the natural end of this cycle approaches, the question arises, who will be capable of carrying that fire forward? Adebayo, through his dedication and quiet leadership, could be that link between past and future. Unlike other more media-focused players, he does not seek the spotlight, only results. That discreet and efficient profile fits perfectly with what Golden State values. His ability to adapt to different roles, command the defense, and create opportunities on offense makes him a rare piece. He represents the kind of player who connects eras, keeping the team competitive while giving room for new talents to grow. And it is exactly at this point that the other side of the plan comes in: internal development. The management does not want to depend solely on external signings. There is an active effort to polish young prospects, prepare successors, and build a solid base that can sustain the team for many years. The philosophy is that the future must be built at home, with players who understand from an early age what it means to wear the Warriors' jersey. In training, this process has already begun. Veterans have taken on mentoring roles, guiding the younger players on tactics, positioning, and above all, mentality. Video sessions, locker room talks, and even team trips have become spaces for learning. Curry's leadership is quiet but constant. He knows that what he has built will only have lasting value if it inspires the next generation. Draymond, on the other hand, has taken on the task of shaping the competitive spirit of the rookies, demanding from them the same intensity he has always shown. Inside the organization, there is a consensus that the future must be built with patience. It is not enough just to sign big names. It is necessary to form a new backbone. The dream is that in a few years, Golden State will still be synonymous with excellence, with or without its current stars. To achieve this, the plan is to mix youth and experience, maintaining the same level of demand that made the team a global reference. Meanwhile, Morant's name continues to echo behind the scenes. Despite the controversies, there are those who see in him the potential to be the face of the franchise's next era. His energy, aggressive style, and charisma would fit perfectly with the entertainment and spectacle model that the Warriors have always promoted. A player like Morant could bring back the freshness, unpredictability, and audacity that characterized the peak of the dynasty. The main question is whether the franchise is willing to deal with the full package, the talent, but also the risks. The doubt is understandable. Golden State has always valued stability, an environment where collectiveness outweighs individuality. Bringing in a player with a strong personality and a history of conflicts requires a mature emotional structure, something the franchise fortunately possesses. The presence of experienced leaders, combined with a consolidated technical system, could be precisely what Morant needs to find balance again. Under the right guidance, he could turn what is now seen as a problem into fuel for a new stage of growth. Conversely, there is a group within the club that advocates a more conservative approach, keeping the current core, strengthening the bench, and investing in gradual development. This faction believes that Golden State's strength lies in the continuity of its system, not necessarily in bold moves. The recent track record supports this view, as many of the team's triumphs came from internal adjustments, not explosive trades. Still, the market imposes pressure, and ignoring opportunities can be as risky as acting impulsively. This division of opinions reflects the team's moment. The dynasty that enchanted the world is now in a stage of maturity, and the decisions made today will determine whether it becomes only a memory or remains alive. The executives are aware of this and handle every detail with caution. The franchise's future will not be decided by a single move, but by a sequence of coherent choices that maintain balance between ambition and realism. Elsewhere in the league, other teams watch closely. Everyone knows that when Golden State moves, the impact is immediate. A trade involving Adebayo or even an attempt to acquire Morant could completely shift the balance of power in the Western Conference. The management's decisions influence not only their destiny, but also that of their rivals. That is why every step is calculated, every rumor analyzed, and every public statement carefully shaped to avoid revealing plans prematurely. Meanwhile, the fans remain divided between nostalgia and expectation. Some want to enjoy every last chapter of the legendary generation, while others argue that it is time to be bold and build for the future. The truth is that Golden State is living one of those rare moments when the present and future intertwine dramatically. Each game, each victory, and each defeat seem to carry deeper meaning, as if the franchise's destiny were being written in real time. In the corridors of the Chase Center, the atmosphere is one of total focus. Players and staff know that any slip could prove costly. The goal is clear: to keep fighting for titles without losing sight of tomorrow. It is a delicate but essential balance. Golden State's story cannot end with the aging of its stars. It must renew itself, grow, evolve. That is why what we see is a team searching for something greater than victories. They want continuity, lasting impact. With every training session, every market move, every rumor assessed, Golden State reaffirms its intention to remain relevant. The ambition is not just to lift trophies, but to ensure that the name Warriors stays linked to excellence for many years to come. The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the flame that fueled the dynasty has not gone out. It merely transforms, adapts, and prepares to light a new era. Whether that new phase comes with Adebayo protecting the paint, Morant igniting the offense, or other names yet to emerge, time will tell. What matters is that the essence of the Golden State Warriors, courage, creativity, and vision, remains intact.